All right, so here we are, week 2, another episode of ATW, All Talk Wrestling. Got my boy Mike, got my boy Armand. Sadly, Rain couldn't be with us today. He'll be with us next week. And just a couple things that we want to touch base on. Talk about some wrestling, of course. That's what All Talk Wrestling is all about. And first and foremost, did you guys get the link to the podcast that I had sent, or the Spotify page for the podcast that I put in the group earlier this week?
No, I didn't get a chance to check it out.
Yeah, like it's really good. I went back and gave it a second listen to. It's kind of controversial. Like I said, they had the Who's Not a Legend thing. I feel like we should end up doing something like that one day.
I definitely need to know this.
I got one. I'm gonna save it for future conversation. But I got one that probably might get the wrestling community to throw pitchforks at me. Not 100% sure yet. All right. So
initials Cookie Monster.
Yep. So we kind of know what the topic is. Next Sunday is the Royal Rumble. So looking forward to that. The road to WrestleMania is going to be getting underway. And the biggest thing about the Royal Rumble is getting an opportunity to have the winner of the men and the women's Royal Rumble go on to WrestleMania and compete for world championships. So with that in mind, and we're a week away, there's really no definitive on how they're going to book the Royal Rumble. So Armand, I'll start with you. I want to know, who do you think is going to win the men and the women's Royal Rumble, and why do you think that they should be booked to win the Royal Rumble?
Okay. So I originally said Keith Lee or Lashley was my pick, because you have to keep the meteoric rise with Keith Lee going. Like they kind of slowed him down since going to main roster. So I think it's a perfect time to get him back going. I said actually, and then I changed my mind. I said he's going to be, if not in the top 8, he's going to make it to the final. He's going to be in the final 4. Then I said, this might be a perfect chance for Vince to give us the middle finger one more time and call in Brock Lesnar. I said that would be, again, a great middle finger. I would be mad, I would be angry, but damn it, I'm going to watch Raw tomorrow because I know that's where he's going to show up. Then I came down to it and I looked over the last few weeks and I said, who's someone who's a former champion that still has yet to win the Rumble? And they answered that question Friday night. My pick is going to be Daniel Bryan. A Daniel Bryan versus Reigns. We're going to get head of the table versus Daniel Bryan. We're getting, because they're starting to pull the Yes movement back together. They're starting to do all that. I think it's going to be Daniel Bryan winning it. But final 4, DB winning, Keith Lee, Lashley, and I'm going to give a dark horse. I feel like it's going to be, if Brock comes back, then it's Brock. That's my final 4.
Awesome. And so you got Daniel Bryan winning the men's Royal Rumble unless Brock Lesnar comes back. What about the women's side?
Women's side, I picked Bianca Belair. I think it's perfect. It's a perfect time for her to go ahead and give that big push. Bianca Belair or Charlotte was my other pick, because it's Charlotte. Like, when are they not having her win something? So, but yeah, final 4: Bianca Belair, Charlotte, Nia, and either Nia or Baszler. I can see it turning the tag team finally implodes and one eliminates the other. Whoever does it to that's going to be the other, and it's going to kind of happen midway through. And then if I had picked one other person, Lacey Evans would probably be that other person again. Dark horse, that would be a dark horse.
right, so Bianca Belair and Daniel Bryan to win the men and women's Royal Rumble, and you're in. Got some good dark horses there as well. I can see Lacey Evans being a dark horse just because of that feud that she got going on with Charlotte. Mike, I'm gonna go ahead and turn the same question over to you. Who do you think is going to win the men's Royal Rumble, and why?
Who do I think will win the men's Royal Rumble? Well, I was gonna go with Daniel Bryan because he hasn't won it, but I also had a backup one just because I figured someone's gonna say Daniel Bryan. So I'm gonna go with John Cena to go up against Goldberg, and John Cena wins his 17th world champion. That is going to be. I just don't really see nobody. I mean, other than Daniel Bryan going against Roman Reigns, I can see that match happening too. But Vince is trying to sell WrestleMania. He's trying to get eyes. He's trying to get as many, whatever. He's going to try to get named. And there's really no other than bringing back John Cena, because it might work, it might not. It could go either way. But I could see John Cena and Goldberg at WrestleMania.
Going off of what you said, don't second question then that Dwayne Johnson won't show up.
I don't think so, because I think they're going to go with Dwayne and when they're in WrestleMania in Hollywood, out in Los Angeles.
Good point.
I'm not going to lie though. I wouldn't mind seeing Reigns and Brock, but if they're going to have Tampa, Texas, Los Angeles, I just feel they're going to have either The Rock and Roman at WrestleMania LA. So I just think they're going to get Cena 17th out the way, maybe bring him back, then have him put somebody over to lose the belt, and just pretty much what he did. AJ beat AJ at the Rumble and lost to Bray or whatever, yeah. And then Bray lost the ring and kept it, yeah. But the women's, I'm going to go with Bayley to go up against Sasha. But I think it's going to be Bayley and Bianca in the last two, and I think Bayley's just going to do some slick shit to eliminate her, just some heel stuff to throw, whatever, some type of stuff. Or she's going to go under the ropes or something, some way. But I think it's going to be Bayley taking over the women's, and big match John Cena come back and take over. Well, maybe not take over, but just come over for a little bit, just for ratings and just to keep something. Because you know Raw, you know what I mean? They keep talking about Raw going, they need something to do. They need that Raw spark. And maybe Cena could pull it away.
So I guess I'll just chime in here to say this before I give my thought on this. If you're saying that John Cena wins the Royal Rumble for that means that we're looking at Goldberg potentially beating Drew McIntyre next week.
Do you honestly see them putting Drew McIntyre over Goldberg right now? Honestly. I wouldn't mind saying I hope it happens. I just don't see it. I think
it needs to happen. Having Goldberg putting over, because I think the point is now to start legitimizing Drew's run. Losing to Goldberg at the Rumble would completely hijack that.
I totally agree with you. I'm not saying you're wrong, because I totally agree. But I could just see what Vince probably gonna want Goldberg, the name Goldberg being his champion, going into his big. But I don't want to see it. Don't get twisted. I do not want to see it happen like that. But I'm just how.
It's a shame I'm saying that too, because I was the biggest Goldberg fan as a kid.
I could just see we get Goldberg. But
if I had to throw my opinion out here to say who do I think is going to win the men's Royal Rumble, my opinion, I have Shinsuke Nakamura winning the men's Royal Rumble. the main reason why is because you got some equity built up there. You had Jey Uso and Roman Reigns kind of cost him his opportunity at the Royal Rumble. So it only makes sense that as time goes on, he wins the Royal Rumble and they start to right the ship for his 2018 run. He won the Royal Rumble there, pretty much got beat by AJ Styles, lost all the matches for the WWE Championship against AJ Styles, and they compensated him by giving him a U.S. title run and then giving him an Intercontinental title run and then a tag team title. So they compensated him for some championships, but Shinsuke Nakamura is long past due a world championship. If not Shinsuke Nakamura, my dark horse would be a returning Braun Strowman. Because I know he's been injured for a little while, and I think that Braun Strowman could come back at the Royal Rumble, maybe like number 25, number 30, something like that. Win the Royal Rumble, and then go on to challenge like a heel Braun Strowman. Go on to challenge. I wouldn't mind him challenging Roman Reigns, or I wouldn't mind him challenging Drew McIntyre. As long as we got a monster heel.
If we get monster, it has to be Roman. Because it brings back that rivalry. But that means you have to turn Roman, and I don't want them to turn Roman with Head. That's not happening anytime soon, because Head of the Table is the best storyline we have going in wrestling right now.
That's not a lie. So originally I was gonna say Big E, but I kind of came up with this thing about Big E. Like, you don't have to, like, he's solo right now, but you don't have to have him predictably win the Rumble and then go on to compete for the Universal Championship, because it'll be well if it's written that way. You have Nakamura win the World Championship. You have him win the Universal Championship, have him have a lengthy reign up until SummerSlam, and somewhere along the way, Big E can win the a number one contender qualified match, and then Big E can go ahead and face off against Shinsuke Nakamura at SummerSlam for the Universal Championship. Because if you're going to have something,
you'll have Money in the Bank.
Yeah. So there's some equity there. Like you can find something. Even have Big E win the Money in the Bank. We've never had a black Money in the Bank winner anyway, so that'll be a first. Give Big E the Money in the Bank, and he can cash in on somebody. You can build like a decent little storyline there. And even if you want to run a Roman versus Rock like at WrestleMania, and if it's not in Texas, or no, if it's not in California, in Texas, because the one in California is like 2 years from now. So like you can do next year's WrestleMania, Rock versus Roman, and two-parted. They can go even up. Have Roman win at WrestleMania in Texas, and then turn around how to Rock win WrestleMania in Hollywood. They did it with John Cena, so men's winner, I got Shinsuke Nakamura. Dark horse, I got Braun Strowman if he comes back healthy. Women's Royal Rumble, my initial pick was Bianca Belair, because it only makes sense for her to win. It only makes sense for Bianca Belair to win. Dark horse is Naomi, because WrestleMania is going to be in Florida this year. Naomi did compete at WrestleMania in Orlando a couple years ago, where she won the SmackDown Women's Championship. I would not mind, check this, I would not mind a heel Naomi who's siding with Roman on the head of the table thing, because you know that there's going to be a possibility that the Usos are going to eventually get the tag team championships if they're still aligning with Roman, and you know there's going to be a possibility like she can be a part of that core. I don't know, like maybe not have her as a heel, because her Glow championships are like epic, and WWE can definitely make a pretty penny on that, which they never sold the first time that she had it. But yeah, I could see Naomi as a dark horse potentially winning the Women's Royal Rumble. But if I had to go with if I had to go with a hard answer, it would be Bianca Belair. And only because I wasn't picking Shayna Baszler, because Shayna Baszler is like the only other one that I look at and say legitimately should win the Women's Royal Rumble.
I like that. Only thing where I'm only kind of disagreeing is if Naomi comes back heel, it's got to come back to that level of bad. We had to, like, when she was that bad stable, that was a great run for her as a heel with her and Tamina. And I don't like her in the head of the table thing, because that makes it look, I mean, I guess it adds to the storyline. Like, you beat this dude and now homie's wife has to submit to. A little cucky, but, you know, I guess that would add the greatness to a great storyline. I definitely rather see her as a heel on her own merit.
The only way I'd like I said, the only way I'd be okay with this heel is if she's challenging for the I'd say the Raw Women's Championship. Like, let's just go ahead and if we had to separate it, and I had to use your philosophy, I'd say Raw Women's Championship. If she's challenging for the SmackDown Women's Championship, I think her and Sasha could put on a hell of a match at WrestleMania. Like, she's never really
lying about that.
She hasn't got too many opportunities to really shine and showcase herself as an athlete. Like, so her and Sasha going one-on-one, that would just be an epic ass match. It would. It wouldn't be Sasha Bailey levels, but I'd still put it pretty up there.
I think it could reach that level. I absolutely believe it could reach Sasha Bailey levels. We're throwing these storylines and these potential matches as though Kevin Owens won't win Sunday.
So my own, I don't know. Like, with it being so close to WrestleMania, I just don't see him getting over. Like, they don't have too many title changes at the pay-per-view. 2016 was the only time I think they made an exception where Kevin Owens won Goldberg won the Universal Championship, but it only set up for Brock Lesnar and Goldberg. And Bray Wyatt won the WWE Championship, but it only set up for Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, which we'll get on that topic a little bit later. But nah, like, yeah, I want to make the assumption that Kevin Owens is going to win. I think it'll be fun if Kevin Owens wins the Universal Championship, but I couldn't see them keeping the belt on him for too long. Like, honestly, I hated the Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns rivalry when Kevin Owens was a heel and Roman was a face, but this one, I haven't got bored with it yet.
No, not yet. And
I think Kevin Owens is a better, like, anti-hero, kind of like what he's been, because he doesn't seem cowardly. He's just like with the shits, and that's really how he always was. Ring of Honor. So it's like, I'm glad that they kind of got him back to his with the shits.
Right, we're at the kill Kevin kill right now.
Facts. All right, so question number 2, or topic number 2 that I want to throw on is if anybody watched Impact this week, I know that I did, and
I did
right
not.
now they're building. So now they're building toward.
Yes, I did, because Private Party and that attack. Was that last week?
Yeah, it was this weekend. Yeah, it was this past Tuesday, and of course now they're building the Moose and Rich Swann World Championship. So I'm gonna be very interested and glued in on that one. But you kind of touched on it. Private Party is going to be facing off for the Impact World Tag Team Championship, and I don't know. The biggest thing that I want to really discuss with that isn't necessarily the match itself, but how are you guys, just based off of what they're giving us, liking the Impact and AEW relationship that's going on? Too much? I feel like it could be more. Armand, I'll start with you.
I think I like the relationship. I don't like them throwing Private Party over there to take on the Good Brothers. I think when you have a terrible tag division like AEW does with this loaded talent, there's no reason to throw an Impact Championship at them. Like, let them take on your current AEW tag champs. Like, build them up for that. Don't just say, hey, we're already done with you over here. Private Party's a great tag team. I really like them. To me, they're still second rate, to Street Profits, because that's what they come off to me as, an off-brand Street Profits. But I like them. They're entertaining. They're great in the ring. They're somewhat fun to watch. You know, I dig what they're doing. Yeah, I like it, but I don't like it. We know they're going to lose to the Good Brothers. We know they are. I think it's great as an exposure move for them, but I think they're also championship worthy. So moving them to lose on Impact is low key a slap in the face when you have an already struggling tag team division, along with all the other things struggling in AEW overall. Why would you do that is my real question.
All right, Mike, I want to go ahead and turn it over to you. Same question. How do you feel about the AEW Impact relationship so far? Do you think it's too much? Do you think it's enough? Or do you think it's going to be a little bit more? And you can even touch on the booking decision for the championships as well.
Man, I think it's just the tip of the iceberg, to be honest. I think we're going to end up seeing maybe Moxley. I think we're going to end up seeing Moxley and Sami Callihan back together doing something. I can see them working together then. As far as Rick Swann and Moose, to be really honest with you, I mean, I know. I see you always. I know this is probably one of your dream matches, because I see you talk about you waiting for it. But to be honest, I'm just waiting to see who Kenny Omega, which one's going to win, so Kenny Omega can take the belt from. Because I got a feeling whoever wins that match is going to unite it, like take them two belts, combine them, and then it's probably going to be Swan, and then it's going to be Swan and Omega. So that's probably what I can see future-wise. I just don't see. But as far as Private Party, man, the best thing about Private Party, to be honest, right now, is Matt Hardy. That is probably the best thing about Private Party. Him and his disability. I don't think they're going to beat the Good Brothers. And other than that, you know what I mean? Yeah. That's just something that was random to me, honestly. But I can see it. They're having Matt Hardy back on Impact. So it's like the shock factor. But I just don't see really another tag team going against. Just like he said, it should be if they going against anyone, you want to go get your own AEW champion. If you're in AEW, so why not go for your own AEW belts?
Yeah,
definitely. Rare time, I agree with you, Mike. Rare time. 2021 is very interesting.
Hey, having this on camera means everything. Like, when they see y'all go back and forth in the group, like, nah, check this link out. They get along.
Because, man, I'm honest, man. People be like, damn, dude, you hate WWE. No, I don't hate WWE. I grew up watching WWE, WWF Superstars. I grew up on this shit. It's just if I don't like something, I'm going to say it. If I like something, I'm going to say it. It just happens that not more often that WWE just does a bunch of just like, okay, whatever, you know what I mean? Stuff.
Well, let's just keep it a buck. Let's just keep it a buck and call it for what it is. I'm not gonna say WWE does a bunch of whatever. It's Raw.
Yeah,
Raw does a bunch of because NXT.
It's Raw.
NXT has been giving you the best wrestling product probably for the last 2 or 3 years consecutively.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
SmackDown has certainly been wavy. You know, SmackDown will be down 1 week, then it'll be up, and then it'll reach another high. Then it'll kind of teeter down a little bit, but for the most part, SmackDown has had more good moments than not. It's Raw that has been ass butter on a weekly basis, and I just can't get over it. Like, there's some bright spots to it. I'm not gonna lie. Just about whatever Drew McIntyre gives us is good. Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss, Hurt Business, Drew McIntyre, and fucking Keith Lee have been carrying the show since the pandemic.
And you know, AJ, anytime you tell him to go out, you're going to get a great match. AJ hitting that crash off a Ricochet the other night. That was
the spot of the year. That was the spot of the year.
Yeah.
That definitely was.
I had not seen a better spot since HBK hit Shelton with that sweet jam.
Oh yeah, that was beautiful. That's gonna go down one of the raw moments of history.
But
I don't know. Like, okay, since we're on it, before I give my take, well, no, let me give my take first, and then we'll double back to this. So with the AEW Impact merger, I think it's cool. I know some people was talking about the idea of NWA, which of course NWA is somewhat used in AEW, but I don't think they need to just shove everything that's going on in NWA into AEW. Like, kind of keep it where you're able to use the NWA women's division for the AEW women's division, since it's kind of suffering a little bit. Or hell, like, you got the Knockouts and Impact, got an opportunity to kind of use them in AEW a little bit more. Like,
yeah, definitely start using the Knockouts. That I thought when I heard the using of each other, the Knockout division was exactly what came to mind. I said, boy, AEW women division can really use that right now.
Facts.
Yeah, because the knockout division has been A1. The knockout division was doing stuff that the women's revolution had not even touched yet. Gail Kim, ODB, Kong, they were out here putting on great matches way before you got a women's evolution.
Yeah, that's not a lie. That is not a lie at all. And I guess like WWE used a lot of their momentum to try to catapult it because they're the bigger program. They're the bigger product. So when they put it out there, it makes it more revolutionary. And they had better faces to put on the brand as well. But yeah, Knockout division and Impact have been doing numbers. And here's one thing that WWE is not going to be willing to touch. They're not going to be willing to put their championship on a woman. Impact did that with Tessa Blanchard.
Don't say that, because don't Charlotte Flair.
They have teased it with Charlotte. It's been teased.
You never know.
Let's keep it a buck, man. Let's keep it a buck.
If there's Friday night show that she could perform with the guy. Now, granted, it was what's his face doing backflips, and it looked a little Me Too-ish with some of the holds. But you know,
Reginald,
she showed that she can. If you ask her to put on a match with guys, she can.
So the only one that I would have for that spot is Nia Jax. He would have to be, because Nia Jax is the only one that competed in the Men's Royal Rumble and actually eliminated Mustafa Ali.
True.
It's crazy that nobody has cut a promo on him being the only dude in WWE currently that's been eliminated by a woman in the Royal Rumble. But
it's got to come, especially because they're going to have to start doing, like, Retribution is failing. It's stupid. Like, you took Mia away from NXT, who was doing phenomenal, to throw her in this mess, and like, nah, it's got to fall too.
Dominique Dijakovic was a good mid-carder in NXT as well. Like, I was enjoying his matches. I was, and him and Keith Lee was putting on
some absolutely phenomenal matches on NXT.
Yeah, like Dijakovic is super under the radar, man. He's underrated. I didn't really watch a lot of Dio Madden, but I mean, I guess Retribution works for him because he kind of disappeared after Brock Lesnar F5'd him.
Right. It was a good release for him, and the other dude, I can't even think of his name right now, who will probably just get sent away once Retribution is done.
I can't quite remember who it is either.
Yeah, see, exactly.
All right, so earlier we had made a mention of Randy Orton. I think that I put something in I did put something in one of the wrestling groups. The NAAW, group that we're a part of, Armand.
Yeah.
And it had to do with potential booking for WrestleMania. I know this storyline is getting dragged out a little bit. I don't want it to drag out too much. How would you guys feel? Mike, I'm going to start with you here. How would you guys feel if we got a Randy Orton versus The Fiend Firefly Funhouse match similar to last year, since this year's WrestleMania is also going to be a two-part event?
I think it's leading up to that. I think what you're going to get, I think we're going to get that, and what you're going to have is Randy Orton burning down the Funhouse. I think that's what we're about to get.
That'll be the dumbest thing ever. Mike, what's your thought on it?
I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not even, when it comes to them little matches they do, man, I just think they're all dumb. Anything that, like the Wyatt match with him, that was dumb. I could see them doing it, and I can also see why it do. I mean, Randy Orton burning it down like they did last time. But it seemed like anytime they do something with Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, it's just something stupid, I think, to be honest with, from the WrestleMania match with him, and then everything with Bray. Like, I don't even really care for the Fiend, really, the Firehouse, or whatever it is. It's just all really corny to me. But I mean, I can see them doing, or unless Edge come back, I could see Edge getting some retribution on Randy Orton for putting him out. But I don't even know if when he's even coming back.
They had a 28-minute silent match last year, and it was boring as shit.
Yeah, I was good on that.
I don't want to see Edge and Randy Orton again. That match was boring. Hell.
Well, we'll get it for the final time. We mean it this time.
Until they decide to book them against each other again. But this is going to be the last time, kids. No, the only reason I think that the Firefly Funhouse match will work out, and in no way, shape, form, or fashion should Randy Orton go over the Fiend in this feud, like, in the slightest. Like, keeping him off TV right now.
We're going to.
Yeah.
We're going to
keeping him off
that.
TV right now. Best thing ever, because Alexa Bliss is able to carry them. She's able to carry the load pretty well herself. She might also be a dark horse for the Women's Royal Rumble as well. Just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah, that's actually a great point.
But the mental aspect of the Firefly Funhouse, kind of like it was with John Cena last year, I've rewatched that match like 4 or 5 times already. Just the mental aspect, the dissecting of the mind, the career, the overall body of work. How Randy Orton was being a dick to people in the backstage, rubbing his junk against his hand and making people shake his hand, pouring shit in women's, like, fucking, what is it, their gym bags?
Yeah, he was doing weird. He was doing some weird shit.
And politicking in order to have wellness policies changed so he wouldn't get fired from the company. Because remember, this dude been on strike 2 forever and kept violating, but because things kept getting changed, he never really got suspended.
Dude be mad cheap, man.
You said what?
I said he'd be mad cheap, man.
Yeah, like, he had so many substance abuse violations to the point where Randy Orton should have been fired like 3 times from the company. You can fit that.
He's got so many abuse policies, they can give him how they've been doing poor Jeff Hardy.
Yeah, so like that'll be fun. That'll be fun because nobody in wrestling altogether ever really touches on that.
Nope.
So unlocking that into a storyline would just be good. Like, just the mental aspect of the Firefly Funhouse was really great. That's why I liked it so much. So to give us a second one like that, where he just starts taking people from the past and just bringing them through the ringer, I'd be with it. All right, so I think that pretty much covered most of it. How do you guys feel about the merger between Impact and AEW? Prediction, thoughts on Royal Rumble winners? Honestly, Mike, your idea about John Cena, that would have to be some crack shit that they have. But the only way John Cena wins the Royal Rumble is if Goldberg beats fucking Drew McIntyre. So if that match happens before the Rumble, and Goldberg wins, if I hear dun, dun, and I already know who's winning. I'm not even watching the rest of the Rumble. I already know who's winning.
They got him set. They got to sell the Royal Rumble some way, somehow. You need. I don't like Goldberg, but the name Goldberg honestly just sells. Not the performer sells, but the name. And John Cena, I mean, I don't think them two ever went head to head versus other.
Cena versus God. I don't know. We never got that. I think we're 20 years too late for that, but
yeah, true. But
WWE is always good on doing that to you.
Yep.
But I think what John Cena showed in his Royal Rumble, in his WrestleMania match against The Undertaker back at WrestleMania 34, BT Dubs, I was there. But what he showed in that match is if he needs to, he can carry an old person to a somewhat watchable match for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So I can see.
Barely get through 2 minutes and 30 seconds now.
Yeah, it'll be as simple as this: Goldberg hits him with a spear, goes for a jackhammer. John Cena kicks out. He hits the turnbuckle. John Cena hits him with the shoulder block. You can't see me. 5-knuckle shuffle. AA roll over. Second AA. 1, 2, 3. John Cena's WWE champion. History at WrestleMania.
I think you have the right Drew to put I think Goldberg has to put over Drew.
I hope he does. I really hope he does. I can just see. I just don't know.
For the fact that they didn't even tell the story right to begin with. Like, this started Legends Night on a botch. How do you botch a storyline? All you have to do is wait 30 more seconds for Drew to say whatever, then come out and say you're next. Like, I think the whole world was genuinely, absolutely confused.
Hey,
you don't have respect. Meanwhile, Randy Orton's a whole, like,
Randy Orton was disrespecting everybody, but you came in Drew's face.
Right.
That let me know. That let me know that somebody threw out the script and they just said, you know what, ad-lib it. I don't want to do this. I know we've been practicing this all week. We're just gonna go ahead and just say, fuck it, let's wing it today. Like,
right, yo, is Vince here tonight? No. All right, we're gonna try something new. They let Devon run the show that night.
You said Devon?
They let Devon run the show. Put someone through a table. Oh, yeah. Devon, we can't do that. Different era. Oh, all right. Well, fuck it up. Give him Goldberg. What? All right, fine.
And as soon as his music hit, I already knew what they were gonna say. Like Goldberg, Drew McIntyre, everybody's worst nightmare.
Yeah, I'm just confused with all this talent you have. You just constantly, Goldberg is a shit on everyone's chest every single time.
The last thing I want to throw out there, how do you guys feel about this somewhat crack in the armor that they got with the Hurt Business? I think it's too soon, and there's no reason for them to start teasing any bit of the Hurt Business breaking.
My only thought is Cedric is leaving, like WWE. Like the only thing I think is his contract is coming to a conclusion. He wants to be with this girl on AEW. That's the only thing I can think of.
It's swole.
God is swole. That's the only thing I can think of. that is the legit only thing to have a great stable together and this soon break them up. Cedric's contract is ending. He's going to AEW because that's where his girl is.
Well, then again, it is the WWE. So, outside of the New Day, they absolutely hate factions being together for a long time. Always got to break them up. All the great factions that broke up. Corporate, the corporation, industry, EX, Evolution, the Shield,
But we got at least
YFM.
5 years out of those teams. We got 3 to 5 years out of those factions. We're at like 8 months of the Hurt Business.
I think we only real shit got like a year and a half. Maybe, you know what? We got about 2 years of evolution, tops.
Felt longer than 2 years.
I don't know why it doesn't feel like it. It feels like we only got the. Okay, so I'm thinking about it. When Triple H faced off against Booker T for the World Heavyweight Championship, Evolution hadn't completely come together at that. It was just Triple H and Ric Flair at that time. Somewhere down the line, they got Randy Orton, and then close to Survivor Series that same year, they got Batista.
So we had 4 years broken up. So we had 2003 and 2005 was the general run. So we had 2 years. Then we got a run in 2007 and then 2014.
I guess when I say that, I meant consecutively because DX broke up and got back together.
Consecutively. Consecutively, it was a 2-year run, 2003 to 2005.
I think the New Day is the only team that comes to my mind that have been together for as long as they have. I think the New Day was together, 6.5 years without ever breaking up.
Yeah, and they're technically not broken up. They're really not.
Like, they're still not broke. They're still considered the New Day, but it's like
Big E is just doing his own thing, and now Kofi's out.
But when I say broke up, I mean like one person gets jealous of the other one, turn their back. The wash, rinse, and repeat tag team shit that they always come up with.
No, we've consistently, the New Day has been probably the longest running official stable.
Like ever.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's correct. And definitely I'll definitely have to. Yeah. WWE factions, yeah. I mean, unless you want to count BSK, but
I mean, they were never really a official faction. Bunch of motherfuckers in the back. Oh, you know what? Last topic. Go ahead and wrap it up for the day. We'll just call it real quick. Give about a minute thought here. Undertaker recently went on Joe Rogan Experience. Talk about how he can't stand, or he doesn't really like to watch the WWE fan now because he feels like the product is too far. And started talking about some shit that happened in the locker room. Like he was upset because people would have Nintendo Switches, playing games, not necessarily like. How do you guys feel about that? Taker coming out and pretty much burying a lot of the talent that they have out there.
I think that was just a generational thing. Old dude having an issue with where the culture of the locker room is now. And that's what it is. Nothing less than that. He doesn't like them. He wants them all in the zone and in character, even when they're in the locker room, when most of them are like, yeah, nah, I'm doing my own thing over here and we're having fun. Like, I think that's what he wants, because he's from a different time, and which is why I've said consistently for at least 7 years now, Undertaker should have been done years ago. Bray Wyatt should have been his curtain call. That should have been it. Pass the torch, and even in beyond that, when Reigns beat him, that should have been it.
Bray Wyatt
Bray should have been it, because we should have never saw Brock Lesnar breaking the streak.
Bray should have been it. Bray was the only one that made sense based off of storyline, especially with what he's doing right now. Bray is the only superstar that made sense to break Undertaker's streak. You know what I mean?
And even if he didn't break the streak, again, you can lose and still be put over, because you make him carry the match, and then after all of that, Undertaker gives him his props and then walks off. You could have done that.
He did it with Jeff Hardy, Undisputed Championship ladder match. He beat Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy got over for that.
Right.
But it was only a matter
of could have done it.
So that's possible. Mike, what's your thought on that?
I respect the Undertaker for what he is. He's in everyone but mine. Top 10, top 5. He's in my top 10. He's not in my top 5.
That's a conversation for next week.
Right. It should have. His career should have ended a long time ago.
Mike, I'm gonna pass it over to you, and then we'll be wrapping up here.
Yo, yeah, I can hear you for a second. Yeah, man, pretty much same thing he said, man. It's a generation. He's an old school guy with old school ways, and he just ain't, you know what I mean, ain't gonna change it. He don't want to come in and see Nintendo Switch. When he come in, he with Jack Daniels, guns, knives, and that's what he used to. He ain't used to guys going up, down, and me and you were going against each other in the ring, but then we're on YouTube playing a game together. Like, yeah, you're this, that, and then 2 weeks later we're in the ring fighting each other. Just, you know, I can see what he's talking about, but like you said, generational thing. Times changed. Facebook, social media wasn't around that big like that back then. They didn't have all that stuff like that.
Right.
But
the dirt sheets actually used to mean something back then.
Yeah, because you couldn't go on Facebook back in, you know what I mean, the early 90s and be like, pretty much be like, oh, damn, who's such and such just signed with whoever, you know what I mean? Like when Jericho debuted, wasn't really, you know what I mean? You really didn't know he was coming, but it just shocked the world.
Right.
Greatest debut in WWE history.
Yup.
Now when someone comes to somebody, it's like, oh, this person's coming, he's coming. Because, you know what I mean, the internet got all over it. 1,000 different sites.
Well, I think wrestling feeds into the dirt sheets. I think they're all the dirt sheets are part of the machine of kayfabe.
I believe it too.
The one thing I will give Undertaker his props why he's upset about it. How many times have you seen Mark Calloway do an interview? Not the Undertaker, Mark Calloway. Until this last year,
very few.
I think you can go on the internet. I think I found one YouTube video where he was doing an interview with some pastor somewhere as Mark Calloway.
I remember seeing that because Michelle asked him to go there for prayer, and that shit kind of made me look different because I'm like, damn, this is the Prince of Darkness. This is the dead man, but he's a super church dude. Like, he's a super Christian man. And I'm just like, for him to be in character talking all that devil's favorite demon shit that he has been, but deep down inside, this man worships.
That man prays and worships and is, and I don't hate it all. I think it's a wonderful thing. I think that's where I can absolutely respect the Undertaker to be in 2020, 2021 and still be in kayfabe. Like, you see the Undertaker out somewhere minding your own business, that dude's gonna look at you, roll his eyes back, and you're gonna go, oh my fucking goodness.
I cried.
He just threatened to kill me. Like, I would lose no shit too, and again, he's not my top 5. But that's for different reasons. But everything that he's given to the business and who he is, I don't have a problem when someone says the Undertaker is my favorite guy ever. I get it. I just got tired of seeing him take 20 minutes to get to the ring. That year where WrestleMania had the giant ramp, I was like, are they giving him a motorcycle? Because this shit...
Bees like that sometimes, you know? It bees like that sometimes.
For real it do.
All right, so I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up this week. Armand, I think you brought on a very interesting sub-conversation for us to have next week about your top 5 all-time, your Mount Rushmore plus. I think we'll call it that. We'll wrap the show up next week with that one. Give a light Raw SmackDown review. We're not going to be on next Sunday. I think that we'll try and shoot for next Saturday because the Royal Rumble is going to be on Sunday. And we're all going to be watching that shit.
I say we do a watch party.
On Zoom?
Zoom,
or like link
Facebook
up some...
Live.
One of the two. I don't think...
What's wrong with you?
I don't think Mike will be able to get here.
Yeah, just do it on
Unless you
Facebook. Do a watch party in the group. Right, just do a watch party in the group. I think that would be cool.
Well, we can get that set up, and yeah, definitely. We'll probably do it close to about. I know I'll be doing Lyft and Uber on Saturday next week, so we can still shoot for like 7, get about 30 minutes out of the way, and then I can hit the road. So we'll go from there. But hey, I'm gonna try to see about getting this uploaded and everything. But hey, this is fun. I like this, and if we can continue this,
yeah,
I'll be with it.
For sure. All
right, fellas.
Sure.
So, episode 2 of All Talk Wrestling out of the way. We'll wrap it up just by saying that. Y'all have a good rest of your evening. Go ahead and finish watching the AFC Championship game because I know I'm about to.
That game is a wash. I started watching Housewives.
Yeah, I seen it was 9-0, and now the Chiefs are up like 21-9. So like,
man,
that's done.
All right, fellas. Until next week.
All right, y'all be safe.
All right.